I read George Takei's book, Oh Myyy, There Goes the Internet, and I've been meaning to talk about it for some time now. First, it was a good book. It was entertaining, though not as hilarious as I'd hoped, and it was informative, though not as educational as I could have wished. Still, it's very much worth a read, especially if you spend a lot of time on social networks. I bought it as an ebook. You can also get it as a paperback, but it seemed like the perfect book for reading in a digital format. Now, I have two Kindles. I have an old-fashioned one that I read books on, and I have my Kindle Fire that lets me play Tomb Raider and serves as my teleprompter. I started out on my regular Kindle, but it quickly became apparent that the pictures weren't showing up. George included lots of pictures in his book, examples of his favorite memes mostly, and some of the text didn't make sense without them, so I switched over to my Kindle Fire. Things were going pretty well with the Fire till I got near the end, and he started to include lots of links, some to pages, but mostly to videos. Some of the links were just broken, and the ones that weren't didn't all work because the Kindle, or maybe it was YouTube, threw a fit and wouldn't let me see the video. Now, I'm not blaming the formatting problem on Takei. He probably had no idea how the finished product would go together, and creating links was probably not his responsibility. For all I know, it works out perfectly well on a Nook or some other reader. Or maybe YouTube changed the way links work or something. But I will say it was disappointing. Text on a page can be informing, entertaining, and even transformative, all on its own, but it seems like all this technology should allow this extra level of interaction that Takei's book aspires to. You ought to be able to see the pictures as a bare minimum. You can do that with a paper book, but you should also get to see the relevant web pages and videos as you come to them in the text. It allows a new level of interaction with the media, and that level of interaction could be very exciting, and shouldn't be all that hard. Not now. I look forward to a day when most nonfiction books and some fiction books include this kind of thing. Links to news articles, scholarly articles, artwork, family trees, interactive maps. Can you imagine? It's not even science fiction. It's perfectly doable now, and it shouldn't be that hard. So that was disappointing to me. The content was really pretty good. It let me in on the way feeds work and some of the thinking behind them, and helped me be a lot less angry about the YouTube feeds. It inspired me to start putting together some of my own ideas in a meme-like format, and it got me thinking about the social media that I hadn't been using or hadn't been using well. I now spend a lot more time on Twitter and Tumblr than I did before, and I enjoy that time a lot more than I did before. But a couple of Takei's opinions kind of irk me a little. The one that bothers me the most is the opinion that sources aren't important. Now, that's not exactly what he says, and it's not exactly what he means even, but it is the feeling I get from his attitude toward them, and it's a feeling I get from a lot of younger people I run into on social media lately. George says that he can't really locate the sources of most of the material he uses. He thinks of himself as a kind of online curator of these images, but the truth of the matter is that he benefits greatly from the creative work of strangers. At one point in the book, he states that he has heard of forums where people make and share these things, and that he thinks it all sounds like a lot of work and not worth it. So it seems like, in his opinion, the creation of this stuff is much less important than his role in sharing it. That doesn't seem like an attitude that fosters a healthy creative community. It doesn't seem like that kind of vision is going to make great things happen with content in the near future. People will always create things, even if they don't get any kind of compensation for them. But if I know that I will never even be credited for the creative work I do, then how likely am I to put in a lot of effort? It just doesn't seem like a great system we have going. But while George didn't invent it, and he has done great things with the platform he has created, I'm not a fan of that attitude. To me, sources matter, and the person who creates something is much more important than the person who downloads it and then reposts it. The other thing that doesn't bother me as much, but I still mildly disagree with, is the idea that it doesn't matter if an image is real or if it's photoshopped. His feeling is that this is entertainment and we should all take it all with a grain of salt and view it like a TV show. We should suspend our disbelief. The problem I have with this is simply that it is becoming harder and harder to know what is fiction and what is not. Reality does kind of matter. People believe and fervently share a lot of things on Facebook that are untrue, are blatant lies, and are simply dangerous. I'm glad that a lot of these memes give Mythbusters plenty of grist for future shows, but I prefer that we try to keep our reality and fiction somewhat separate. I may be overreacting now? What do you think?
Well, that was random.